Trevor, I'll repeat what I said yesterday, that there's nothing like a broad-based government. And when I said those words, I saw some people on Twitter tagging me saying, oh, but Sifuna, you signed a document, including somebody who's calling themselves a presidential candidate. And I just want to tell Kenyans... You mind naming that? He knows himself. There's somebody running around Western Kenya calling himself a presidential candidate. And I am happy that everybody who has declared that they are running for president is being examined on his past, his conduct, his words, and so on and so forth. But this one has no history. So I just want to encourage Kenyans to encourage that presidential candidate to read, to develop a culture of reading. So this MOU, I've brought you a copy of this MOU because it has been 2 months since this document was signed, and a lot of things have been said about what this document is and what it is not. This document does not establish a government. In fact, the first time that the president used these words called broad-based was way back in July. The first time members of ODM joined government was way back in July. It was not pursuant to this document. You know? So there is no government called broad-based government. The government in power is a Kenya Kwanza government led by President Uhuru Kenyatta, not Uhuru Kenyatta, William Ruto. So when you speak about this thing called broad-based, me personally, I don't consider the government of Kenya Kwanza a broad-based government. It is the President Ruto's government. So there are a few things I wanted to address, Trevor. As I've told you, this document did not form a government. Number two, Sifuna did not sign this document. Sifuna did not sign this document. If you look at the signature page of this document, it has two names. President William Ruto and the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. Because I know this document inside out, I was there when it was being prepared. We were very tempted, Trevor. One of the things, one of the provisions of this document, on page 1, it says that this is not a coalition document. This document does not form a coalition between UDA and ODM. I was very tempted to include something that I see. Sometimes when you download a document online, you will see a watermark is put there saying, this is not a receipt. I wanted to put that watermark on every page to say, this is not a coalition agreement. Because as I spoke at KICC, I knew that we were getting ourselves into a perception war, that sometimes people are not interested in the details. But if you read this document and what it provides, it does not establish a government. Government was established in August during the elections in 2022, and the president himself has confirmed to the country that pursuant to, after what happened in June with the protest, he reached out to Raila Odinga to help stabilize his government for the intervening period. And these are things that are there and they are clear. Number two, I saw a report from the Standard attributing certain things to this MOU. This MOU is not what gave Raila influence in this country. Raila Odinga has been a presidential candidate by many accounts. He has won some of those elections. He's a leader of the opposition. He has been in politics for a long time. He has had influence across the country for all these years, and across Africa. He's a very well-respected statesman. It was not pursuant to this MOU that Raila now has influence. This MOU is not what made Dr. Oburu Odinga the senator for Siaya. The senator for Siaya was determined in the elections in 2022. Forget what the Standard is claiming. This MOU is not what made Winnie Odinga the Yala member of parliament. By the time we were going to elect Yala members of parliament, it was way back in 2022, 2023. This MOU did not exist. And Trevor, that is why we continue to plead with people. Let us develop a culture of knowing things before we speak about them. As I have said in public, my job really is to make sure that we stay the course. So for as long as this MOU did not establish a government, I am not in that government. I am not in that government. So I respectfully disagree with the sentiments that Oburu expressed there. And I have had occasion, because he's a colleague in the Senate, to sit down with him and understand. Even him, if you see that clip that you played, he was accusing Orengo of anger, but he was speaking with anger. So I asked him, what was the problem? And he explained to me that there were some issues. I think there was a meeting that Orengo attended in Bondo, and he said certain things that infuriated infuriated Oburu, and we have sat down as a leadership of the party to be able to resolve those issues, because it creates a lot of confusion, especially to us, the younger members of the party, when senior officials of the party fight in public. Now, allow me to say that the comments on the conduct of our CSs. Trevor, if you ask these three senators, the main accusation against former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, why was Gachagua impeached? Why was Gachagua impeached? Because he was holding a national office but forgot that he was the Deputy President for all of us. He was not the Deputy President for Central Kenya. But every pronouncement, every time he stood in public, every time he appeared in public, he appeared only to be advancing the interest of his region and his people. That is the reason why we impeached Rigathi Gachagua. So you cannot have similar conduct from members of my party who have joined government. That every time we see you in public, you are only speaking in terms of the so-called development that has come to your people. You understand? And we wove into this MOU. Hey, I'm telling you, people need to give me time to read this thing word for word for them. We wove into this MOU a provision here where the two leaders, President Ruto and Raila Odinga, will respect the identity and integrity of the political parties who signed this document. So when Governor Wanga speaks, and I want to address the comment that he made about Governor Wanga. First of all, it is fair for Governor Wanga to demand answers from the government on the killing of Ongondowere, because it is a responsibility of government to protect life and limb. Number two, when she speaks and she says this region, members of the public in this region belong to ODM or have supported ODM, she's defending this MOU, because this MOU requires that you protect the integrity and respect the identity and integrity of these political parties. What has happened is that under the guise of these so-called development tours, and you know, everybody can see that it is politics at play. These development tours are meant to win political support for UDA in Nyanza. And that is the reason why Governor Wanga was saying, you must respect us in accordance with the MOU that you signed. So Trevor, for me, I am very clear in my mind. I am not a member of any government called broad-based. I don't know where it exists. The MOU that we signed does not establish any such government. You know, so we are very clear in our minds as the leadership of ODM. And by the way, ODM as a party, we have allowed everybody to express themselves freely. In fact, there was a memo that came from Raila Odinga's office saying the only thing that is required when we have these opposing views is respect for each other. That you don't go after each other in a manner that is disrespectful, but we are allowed to have and hold opinions that are different from each other.
Prof.
Trevor.